What's up, YouTube? So much have happened since last time, so I think we need to just push play.
50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
Breakout.
If you're confused, then that's completely alright. I'll try to make sense of it in this video. See, the last time that I made one of these videos where I actually talked to the camera was in Tenerife South, where I lived with my wife and my dog Sola. Tenerife was really great and we really liked living there. However, the airline that I worked for at the time decided to suddenly close down the base, which meant that my wife and we had to move. Now, moving might be exciting, but when you're not really doing it on voluntary basis, then it's quite stressful. Furthermore, to add to the stress, my wife is Japanese, which means that any country that we have to go to, she has to apply for visa, and it can become a very messy situation. So therefore, I decided that maybe it would be for the better that we moved back to Denmark and I tried to get a job in an airline there. During my last couple of months in the airline that I formerly worked for, I applied for a job in a Danish airline and I went to the job interview and the assessments, and luckily I passed the job. Now, I did have a resignation period with the former airline, which meant that I would have to work for them for 3 months before I was able to stop, which was no issue for my new airline, but it meant that I would have to accept whatever base they decided to give me, and in my case it was Marrakesh. I then moved my wife and dog home to Denmark, which was quite stressful because we had to move by airplane, which meant that I had to basically pack as many suitcases as possible and go all of my off days back to Denmark and drop off the suitcases and then take a return flight to Tenerife, which is about 5.5 hours each way, so not the nicest way to move, but it was all successful. I got most of the stuff home. I even got my 65-inch TV home, so I'm quite happy about that. My wife then lived in Denmark by herself, and I would commute back and forth to Marrakesh, tried to record a few videos there, but life was pretty hectic. Actually, at one point I would say that I was home about 2 days, and then I was gone for 7 days, and then home 2 days, and so on and so on. Which meant that every morning that I woke up, it took me a few minutes just to figure out which country I was in. While being at a 4-star hotel might sound pleasant, there's nothing that really compares to being at home where you know where everything's at and you have it available all the time, whereas in a hotel you have to buy it, which also meant that I had to use quite a lot of money during the time because I bought the hotels myself, and also food and everything I had to buy from different places, not like at home where you can just go shopping and make your own food. Now, happy and excited that my resignation period with my former airline was finally over, I moved back to Denmark and life was looking great. Little did I know that the future had a few challenges in its hand.
As new cases reach record highs, nearly 3,700 on Wednesday, the government says the time to act is now.
I was supposed to start working for the new airline in April 2020, and as we all know, 2020 was not a great year, not for anyone, and especially not for aviation. And I found myself without a job. Furthermore, my wife had gotten a job at a hotel, and again, travel restrictions meant that she also got laid off. So none of us had any income, and due to me having been in Marrakesh, which is outside of EU, I was no longer liable for this Danish safety network of getting something called A-kasse, which is money that you get for unemployment. So I was unemployed, my wife was unemployed, and yeah, it was not a good situation. However, I had worked for the movie industry many years ago, and I was fortunate enough to be able to contact the old colleagues from the movie industry and ask them if I could be of any help. So I quickly got hired to become a location manager on a short film. It wasn't paid, but I worked the best I could, and it went quite well. From that point on, I got hired to become a driver on a larger movie production in Denmark, and then it went really quickly. I became location assistant on Casa de Papel when they recorded in Copenhagen, also known as Money Heist, and the career just kept rolling. Suddenly I found myself being offered a job for Lars von Trier on his newest TV show called The Kingdom, which is about a spooky hospital in the center of Copenhagen. And that was fortunate because my wife was also pregnant, and luck had it that my wife had to give birth on that hospital, which meant that during the time we were recording the movie, my wife would go into labor and actually give birth to my son at the same hospital as we were recording in. So that was kind of interesting. Now my son was born, life changed at that point. No longer did aviation seem so important. I was just happy to be back in my home country with my family and having expanded my own personal family within the household. So things were looking pretty great. And I sort of forgot everything about aviation. To be honest, it was also a bit of a sore spot for me to think about because it didn't look like there was any job opportunities in sight at all. Now, cut to February 2022, I was working on Copenhagen Cowboy, a new Netflix show. I think it's out now. And suddenly I got a phone call, and it was from the chief pilot of the airline that I had supposed to work for. They had restarted business, so he asked me if I wanted to go back to flying, and I of course said yes. And I started basically preparing myself to go back into aviation. There was a lot of things to restudy. Furthermore, I had gained quite a few kilos during COVID, so I started running, exercising, trying to lose some weight, become a bit more healthy, while studying and preparing myself mentally to start flying again. And now I'm back on the line flying the Boeing 737 again, and life is pretty great. So I feel like we are in a really, really good spot right now. I mean, I couldn't ask for anything else. And the reason why I'm making this video now is because of a bit of a throwback to this living in Tenerife, because I'm actually back in Tenerife. This time, however, I'm not back living here. I'm back here on a layover. The reason why I am rebooting this channel is because I have a lot of time on these layovers. I don't really know what to do. I'm just staying in a hotel room. Sometimes the cabin crew wants to go out and have lunch and do some stuff together. Other times they just want to chill in their room, go to the pool. I would like something to keep my mind occupied, so I like to make these videos. Anyways, let me know what you want to see in the comments, and then I'll try to oblige. Yeah, and if you like this video, leave a like, then I can see you appreciate it. Perfect. Thank you guys, and yeah, see you around.